So you got my message, right?
Yeah, I did.
I fell off the wagon. This is just me and a camera and a producer, and that's it. There's no crew. It's just as raw as you'll ever see me.
Pauly Shore!
This is it, dude. I'm a blue-collar comic. I don't know why I wasn't on that tour. So I pull into the fucking town. I see a KFC attached to a fucking Taco Bell. I knew I was in the right place.
My daughter just worshipped you.
She worshipped? That's an ED.
I know, but
It is. It's fast.
Got any movies in the works, anything?
Not in Hollywood!
Have you guys done comedy here in Eau Claire before? Because it's not supposed to happen like this. Not everyone likes what I do. I got over that a while ago.
I kept the name Filmwax because they have a little bit of recognition to it.
Okay.
So now it's called Filmwax Radio. Yours, you have one too, though, right? And
Yeah.
You're
That
Pauly
homeless
Shore's-
guy down the street has one too. No, just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm sure he's better at getting sponsors than I am.
Exactly. Right. I have the same device. It's easy, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, you use this for your interviews
Yeah.
too? Yeah, when I started, I said I did radio. Let me just say it was internet radio, but it was in a real studio. A whole console, a mixing board. So even though it was overkill, I mean, this is in a way a lot easier to do, right? Because you can run around like this.
Yeah, you can do it wherever. Testing 1, 2. Are we rolling?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I always just started.
Oh, shit.
Don't you do that?
I don't
Or do you
know.
do it like,
I don't
go?
No, I just start going.
But do you have guests?
Yeah.
You got it, right?
Yeah. No, my format is I'll interview someone, and then I'll take that interview. Then I'll have someone else comment on the interview. So, for instance, like you could take this interview, and then you could sit down with someone else, and you have a little speaker.
Yeah.
And you'll play what I said, and then someone says, "Oh, that's not how it happened." Like if you got Brendan Fraser or some shit, you know what I mean?
From Encino Man,
yeah,
who's
exactly.
Encino Man.
To comment on whatever, but yeah, that's the structure.
That's clever. How long have you been doing it?
I've been recording interviews for about 9 months.
Okay.
And then I just started releasing them about a month ago because I wanted to kind of do it along the lines of the documentary around the same time.
Oh, that makes sense. I actually was thinking if you'd been doing it longer, and I'm sort of broadcasting the fact that I know less about you than I should.
That's okay.
But
a lot of people don't know a lot about me
yet.
Yeah.
Oh, I was wondering if, having done it, maybe you started getting the idea of doing the documentary, but clearly not. The question I actually had was, a lot of folks might have decided instead of doing, maybe you did try to pitch a reality series, which has a very different audience than your average documentary, by the way. Mm-hmm. So the question, I guess, is part A is, did you consider doing a reality series as opposed to a documentary?
No.
Good.
No.
That's good.
No, the documentary is how I wanted it to be before I shot it. I directed it, and I thought how I wanted it to feel. I thought about what was going on inside of me, the locations, the personal shit. So, that's how I wanted it,
No, I don't mean to be a snob about a reality series. There have been some very good ones, but considering the sort of the we should explain the main storyline is you on a brief Midwestern tour, which connects to also some of your personal family history because your parents
are from there,
and they met there, and so you have a personal story with Wisconsin in particular, but also you are going through a certain period of time. Specific time.
I think everyone in their 40s and 50s is going through what I'm going through, which is their parents that aren't, are dying, or there's some things going on, or they died recently. Like everyone that is in their 40s or 50s that has seen this film pretty much say the same thing, which is like, oh my God, I just buried my dad. He had this or that or that. That's just kind of where I'm at in my life. And this is, like as an artist, like the shit that's going on inside of me when I shot the film, like I wanted to have it kind of bleed out into what I was feeling, and that's how, for me, that's how I vent. I don't have a therapist, or I don't have, a lot of people around me. Everyone is so busy in their own world, which is fine. So I do it whether I'm on stage doing my stand up, or I do it, through this documentary.
Right. Yeah. No, it's too intimate a subject in a way for any other kind. It's a perfect medium, in other words, for what you're talking about with it, which is your, also, by the way, I know I am going to just be another person to add to the group already responding to. I'm in my 40s and 50s, and I do have a parent who is going through dementia. And
it's fun, isn't it? I'm being super sarcastic.
No, I
mean, isn't it fucked up? It's so fucked up.
It is, and because but
how old is it your mom or your dad?
My mother too.
How old is she?
She's 77.
Okay, so she's still young.
A little younger than your mom, but the thing,
it's fucked, dude. And especially if you have siblings, and it turns in, and there's a lot of money in the estate, and there's all that shit going on, and who's this and that, and it's, if your mom's got a lot of cash, and everyone's starting to think about how did she design the estate, or how did, like, what's going on? Everyone's kind of uncertain. Like, it'll start percolating soon.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because you can see it as a very subtle strain also in the film, which you don't really talk about a lot or blatantly is some of the financial things, but that's not really the most emotional part of the film. But what the other part of the when you are at this point where you are losing your parents in that phase and your peers are. The other underlying thing behind that is that brings you up the next notch. So you are now next in line. Your generation. It just makes you feel your mortality more. At least that's the way I, as a New York Jew, tend to always feel like death is impending. I mean, now not to fall into those. Woody Allen types of but it is very true. Like, I'm not afraid of death, he said, right? I just don't want to be in the room when it happens. But it brings your, like, I think that's what happens when your parents die. You realize, shit,
you're next in line.
I'm next in fucking line.
Yeah.
And that's not a line I want to be in. But it's true. And then you go on this, as we said, this tour in Wisconsin and Minnesota, right? And it's all winter. It's freezing. It's the winter.
It's gnarly.
It's lingering there.
It's gnarly, dude. It's fucking gnarly out there.
But you managed to kind of keep your sense of humor, at least.
Because I'm amused by it all.
Are you?
Absolutely. I've been doing, if you take my career back to where it first started on MTV, I had a show on MTV in the 90s called Totally Pauly, and it was always about me with people. And then I toured with Sam Kinison, in the early 90s. So it was always about me with people. And that's kind of like my thing, you know what I mean, is me with people. And
because
I just like people, you know what I mean? It's part of the reason why I'm alone, because a lot of girls, they can't deal with that shit. A lot of girls will be like, can't be like, oh, that's his personality. Like, oh, he's flirting or he's this, you know what I mean? It's like, I love people, you know what I mean? That's where I get my energy from.
Which probably comes from, I'm going to, not to pay a psychiatrist, but, you did talk about it in the film, is that you grew up as in a social environment as one can be in, right? Because you grew up in comedy, and you grew up in a comedy club for all intents and purposes, right? You're babysat by,
Yeah, and I'm still there. It's just weird, dude. The Comedy Store, like, if you go to LA, it's exactly how it was in 1972. It hasn't changed. I mean, of course, we changed the carpets and the booths, but it's pretty much the same shit. So every time I go in there, I feel like I'm going into my mom's stomach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I feel
do you feel any conflict there? Because obviously you're describing a certain comfort level that you get, or familiarity anyway. But is there also an anxiety that comes around when you step into a place?
100%. Yeah.
Like, am I going to live up to all these?
Not to live up at all. It's mostly just the energy of that I feel from people that look at me, or, the audiences, or, my responsibility, like, to make sure that, the lights stay on. And and then my mom's, my mom's sickness, just kind of, it's like, it's all there, you know what I mean? So it's that's why, another reason why I like the road, I'm happy out here.
Right. But it comes with its, as we see, it does come with its, I don't know, I don't want to call them pitfalls, because but there, as many advantages there are traveling clearly on the road, there's also things that you have to forfeit, or maybe you don't. I don't know, but it seems like in your you talk about it in terms of long-term commitments,
100%,
relationships, things like that. Yeah. But it seems like it's a thing you have to grapple with, and
you know what? It's grass is always greener. Right. You know what I mean? It's one of those things, like, I mean, can you have it all? Absolutely. You know what I mean? But, I really like, I don't like having someone with me all the time. I just don't. I like being alone a lot. I like walking the streets. I like going to sleep by myself at night. But I also like having a companion, but I like to balance it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I want my cake and I want to eat you too. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I get it.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to, not have to say, excuse me, honey, can you fucking move over a little?
Right. Or
like,
you
all
don't
that
have
shit.
to, right. Or just let them rip if you have to, if you're gassy.
Exactly. You just want to feel like, whatever.
The film is called Pauly Shore Stands Alone.
Yes.
Referring to not only being alone on the road, even though you've
being
got
alone
a
in my
crew
life,
of two, at least two people in the car with you, but you are also doing stand-up. So, right. And you chose to direct it just to keep the crew tiny, or what was the decision behind?
I just, I've been directing myself for so long, that I'm able to shift around. I'm able to shift around.
You mean like
mentally
both parts? Okay,
mentally, like when I
be
know,
subject
like
and documentary filmmaking.
Yeah, I know, like like I told the shooter exactly what I was looking for, what I wanted, the B-roll, how I wanted it to feel, So he knew, like, from me directing him, is that this is the inserts or just whatever whatever it is that I told him, and then I kind of stepped away, and then. Anyone that shoots with the shooter, a cameraman, you either create a rhythm with them or you don't. And I had a great rhythm with this kid, Jake. Mm-hmm. We just kind of like, we danced. So he knew when like shit was going on, and he just kind of felt it. And that's just something that you get with time with the person.
So you had Jake.
It's the shooter,
and
then Pete, and then Pete was the producer
with the sound.
Oh no, Jake was the sound and the shooter.
Really?
Yeah.
So did you use
a
when
C300
you're squatting in the car and like on the floor or in the side of the?
He would just be sitting. He would either be in the back behind me, or sitting in the passenger seat. The camera's not like. It's not like it's a small camera,
right?
So it's not like a really big camera, so you can kind of manipulate it. And plus, the lighting, you can use low. There's no lights, so the camera picks up
natural light.
Natural light.
Not only that, but it kind of when you're doing a road movie, which this essentially is, in a way that gives it the kind of
you want it to be like
you don't want it to be too slick and too
you want it to be like the camera's a fly in the wall,
right? Yeah.
You don't want it to feel like, oh, here he comes with his camera. You want it to be like, oh, here Pauly comes and like, is that guy filming? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I do want to ask you about interacting with the audience and being on film, and them knowing they were maybe in a documentary, or maybe you didn't tell them that. But before that, it was actually not to put you on the spot at all, but I was wondering if there were any...
You're supposed to. You're interviewing me.
I know,
but
it's
on the spot.
I'm not.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's true. But I'm curious about if there was any filmmakers or films that you looked at, or
I like searching for Sugarman.
That was pretty awesome, right?
Yeah, so like that vibe, I kind of mimicked a little bit of that kind of loneliness, the snow. You know what I mean?
Well, he was Scandinavian, that filmmaker, so it's the snow he's only too used to.
Yeah, I like that. I like the Joan Rivers documentary,
Piece of
Me, or Piece of Work, or whatever. Yeah,
that's a good one.
So
too. Yeah, that really is a rather. That was a great film.
Yeah, with this, I wanted to show me like not doing shtick. You know what I mean? Because I'm so used to doing shtick, and just kind of the shtick is down. And I wanted to show the goods and the bads. Almost like, like I don't know you at all. Here you are interviewing me about my life or whatever this, the movie and stuff like.
And actually, I'm not recording anything.
Okay. But, you're here, and then you go home to your dog. You go home to your girlfriend, your wife, your kids, whatever it is that you go home to. So I wanted to show that. I wanted to show like, oh, I'm doing the merch. I'm doing the radio thing. I'm driving from town to town, but then I also wanted to show me by myself in my hotel room. What's that like? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you see like Don Lemon, you know what I mean? These big, are big stars. He's like, oh, they're doing their job. And then when the cameras are off, like they're just like everyone else. Like their mom is dying, or their friend is dying, or their friend just had a birthday or whatever it is that's going on, whether it could be not death. It could be something totally happy.
You kind of deglamorized.
You just keep it real. You just keep it real. Yeah.
Right. It's hard to glamorize some of those moments in the film, which is part of obviously made it as entertaining a documentary as it is to see some of this stuff that you have to deal with, whether it's counting the seats to make sure you get paid. It's a big deal. Nobody's going to do it if you don't do it. Right. They're going to try to skim.
Well, you're doing the sound check. You're doing the lights.
Right.
You're making sure you're performing in rooms that usually have never done comedy, which to me is awesome.
Yeah.
That's
like another funny thing too. Yeah,
it's so great. It's like to be playing in a place connected to a bowling alley is just, to me, it's hysterical. Like I pull up, and I'm like, "What the fuck is this place? This isn't a comedy club," and it's just like a banquet room.
Yeah,
and they just put fold out chairs.
It's like there's a bank. It's connected to a comedy club. It's like the comedy club is always an afterthought to every other business.
Exactly.
It's like, what are we missing from this business?
Right.
A comedy room.
Comedy club. And the deli trays and all that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And try to be
it just gets
remotely
worse.
Healthy on the road.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you're in the Midwest. I know, no offense to the Midwest. Well, they know.
Yeah. There's not a lot of choices.
When you're on the road. Yeah. No.
It's like, you know what, I look at it seriously, and it's like, I sympathize with our soldiers. I sympathize with people going to war, because like that shit's gnarly, dude. Like these people go to war like in these rural places, and they're living out in tents and da-da-da. To me, it's like war, like mentally, like you prepare for it's like war, but without like killing, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But just as far as like going and living and going into these places and, where there's not a lot, mentally you kind of prepare like, oh shit, like it's going to be pretty grisly out there. Mm-hmm. And but you get into it, you know what I mean?
I'm missing some of that, actually. Wait, what are you trying to draw a distinction or like a comparison between?
No, mentally, just preparing.
Yeah, mentally.
Preparing for going out on like an
in
obscure tour.
Oh, okay.
No, an obscure tour like the one that's in the documentary.
Gotcha. So you're saying like beforehand,
I go on playing some third level markets, some like places that people haven't probably gone to, so I have to prepare for it. Sure. So when I walk in my motel room, I can't be pissed off that the pillow's fucking disgusting looking or whatever.
Yeah. Well, what was it like meeting a lot of the people? Also, if you're doing the top, let's say, comedy clubs, or maybe even a second tier of the comedy clubs in a lot of major cities, you can't really just start walking around. I imagine it's much harder as you're going to get it's just going to be a lot of your mental attention is going to be sucked away, because that's what happens when everybody's touching and everybody wants a piece of your attention. I understand it. After a while, it's like you reach a limit with how much you can. It's very tiring, right? Yeah. Draining. But that happens a little bit here, or maybe a lot, when you're at these clubs, and because all of a sudden you have like everybody comes out and fills up these places in these smaller towns in Wisconsin and Minnesota, and then they want to engage with you, and you do that, which is really great. And then you get occasionally somebody like, was her name Courtney?
Yeah, the super fan. Yeah,
the super fan. She really plays a big part in the film, and makes you. A lot of people, I don't know, maybe even you at some earlier point in your career might have dismissed her, but you really. She touches you in some.
I've been touring for several years, and I always, after all my shows, I always think of the audience before I think of me. What do they want? You know what I mean? Like what they want is like, they want to come and watch a good show, but what they really want is a picture. That's what they really want. So you come all that way. Yeah, you have to give them what they really want, because that's what's important to them. They grew up with me. They grew up with me, so it's like, oh, I want a picture with them. It's a big deal. I'm like, all right, well, here it is.
Yeah.
But so that's part of my thing in my mind. Like, I got to go and do a good show, but I got to make sure after I take a picture with everyone, because that means so much to them.
Sure. And now in the day of everybody has a camera phone and everything, so God forbid you should have a negative interaction with somebody, it's all caught and it's on YouTube anyway. Like 10 minutes later.
But that's part of the gig. That's like, if you're like the president, if you want to be the president, you got to go around and shake everyone's hand. You can't just shake kind of people, you know what I mean? That's part of it. So
do you feel like now that you're made this documentary, though, it kind of changes the way you're like this coming phase now. Has the film played in other festivals so far? It has, right? It's not premiering at Woodstock, or is this a world premiere?
It's pretty much, yeah. It did.
Okay.
We did.
Great.
We did a.
It's appropriate. You're in the Borscht Belt.
Yeah, we did a screening at the LA. Was it the Downtown Film Festival? But Woodstock, I think, is like the premiere. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting though, because the history of Jewish comedy. I mean, I don't know if it started in the Borscht Belt, but it certainly exists.
I know nothing about Woodstock other than what we all know about Woodstock.
Well,
so when you say Borscht Belt, what does that mean? Is that the Catskills?
Yeah. So
the Catskills is up in Woodstock?
Well, it's right by there. Yeah, it's basically very close. I guess technically Woodstock is considered part of the Hudson Valley, which is what we call all those towns over there. But the proximity is right next to the Catskills. So you're very close. And the Catskill Mountains, you're at the foothills, I guess they say. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So the Catskills, they call it the Borscht Belt, which was where all the old Jewish comedians, of course, from, your Jackie Masons to...
Yeah, I know the Borscht Belt.
All those guys. Of course. Then they would come down to the city and, hang out at the Friars Club or what have you. But I guess your connection, your through line is much more in terms of the West Coast there. It's a great thing now, but going to this next phase, you're a filmmaker guy. So I guess you have to kind of talk about your film also in a way that, because like when you go to the festival, it's going to be film fans and people go in to see a bunch of film movies. You know what I mean? It's not like the Pauly Shore crowd, excuse me. It's like, I like docs. I like going to film festivals. I'm going to watch your movie.
Super nerds.
I guess a different variety of super nerds than would be at a comedy show. They're comedy nerds. In other words, you're not just talking about you and being funny. You're talking about your film as a filmmaker too, is my point. So for a period of time, right, because you ostensibly might be doing a bunch of different festivals. So do you have you thought about that? Have you given that some thought? Nope, you're just winging it, which is fine. I don't think you need to do
I don't.
But.
I mean, I'll just tell the truth about what it is that my experience was when I did this. And I personally think it's really funny.
It is funny.
I think the fucking movie's hysterical.
Yeah.
Like it's like you look at the trailer and you look at the film, people are like, oh, it's your mom and this and that. But it's not. It's like, I think it's like partly that. But I think the A story is just me with people out there traveling, doing these shows, like being like just making ends meet. Like, and then there's all this other stuff with the family.
Right. Am I gonna have kids? Am I having a legacy? All that stuff. Sure.
But I think the film's funny.
Yeah.
So I think
there's a lot of great moments in it. There really are a lot of really funny shit in there. And but you keep. I don't want to. But you keep kind of getting tripped up in the film with these moments in Compassion. There is also the dancer. I mean, you just kind of all of a sudden you're saying, there for the grace of God. I mean, it's like you have this compassionate streak that keeps kind of stopping the film in a way, too. And it's all of a sudden you're having a run-in with like life and with some heavy drama. I mean, that girl, she was clearly damaged goods. And you really felt like worried about her. And like you're talking to the manager and he doesn't have a clue, whatever.
Yeah.
So, in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Those are the things I caught. Too.
Yeah, that's the real stuff. You know what I mean? I felt bad, like, because she's still kind of hot and she could, she used to dance there, so she could, probably make some money again. I don't know.
Yeah, but you would, it's almost as though you're like, you kind of almost want her to be able to maybe getting into, I don't know, like a dental technician.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't
know. Look, can I pee really quick?
Don't even have to make it quick.
Remember the documentary? At that cross point in my life, like, am I gonna have kids? Am I gonna have a family? Why are you shaking your head? No.
Probably not. I think you're too old for that.
Jesus Christ! Right?
You can't teach an old dog new tricks.
You're at that age you should have a check.
I had a colonoscopy. Wait, is that my brain or my penis? This looks like it right here. This is where my parents first met in the 50s.
My dad's been battling cancer.
Yeah, my mom's sick too. Parkinson's is a really fucked disease, dude.
Even if she doesn't remember who you are, you know who she is. She'll always be your mom.
Comedy is my therapy. It helps me get through any of the hard times. I've done some great stuff and I did some fucked up stuff, but at the end of the day, I always wind up landing on my feet. I don't have the answers for any of it, but we'll keep moving,
too special to take it from pills or drugs or some stupid shit like that. So, does anyone have any pills or drugs? Speaking of it.
So speaking of which, I wondered, even though there seems to be a lot of documentaries and films, where we get to know comedians pretty well now, and there's even like a lot of fictionalized versions of comedians' lives, I'm thinking, on TV, there's, now Mark Maron has a show, and
Louis G.K.
Louis
G.K.
Louis G.K. Yes, Louis G. I mean, a lot of comedians are going to see this. A lot of your peers are going to see this. As what do you think about in terms of their reactions? Do you think they're gonna?
I don't know. I mean, for me, all I can control is the content. All I can control is the edit. All I control is the film. All I can control is that. Right. I can't control how people are going to respond to it.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I think I look at it like I play different. I always, it's important if you direct yourself or you produce yourself or you have to wear different hats. So I look at it when I watch it, I'm not watching me.
Yeah.
I'm watching someone, and I think it's a funny film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's, if they relate to it, I think they'll like it. I think people will like it. I think it's going to play really well on Showtime. I think the timing of when it's coming out is a good time.
Well, tell me about that.
It's like December 4th.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's right after Thanksgiving, before Christmas. It's when everything starts to get really cold. Mm-hmm. The whole America starts to get snow and stuff like that.
Right.
And I think that, the movie Pauly Shore Stands Alone, the documentary, I think that it's like the anti-happy holiday film. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
I think that people are going to watch it and be like, fuck, I'm not talking to my siblings or, my mom's not good or my dad's not good. And I'm like, because you can tell, like, when I'm on the road, like, I'm generally pretty happy. And you can also tell when I go home, I'm like, fuck. You know what I mean?
A little bit. How did the Showtime thing work out, by the way?
They just saw it and liked it, I guess.
Uh-huh.
So.
Well, that's simple.
Yeah. So, they wanted to get it.
You're showing yourself going to third tier or hotels and doing smaller clubs. And obviously they're not even clubs in a lot of cases, right? But.
Yeah, I even played a movie theater.
You played in a movie theater.
Isn't that fucking weird?
It was your first time.
That's weird.
I know. You never played against Abe Lincoln before.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's what I said.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, that's like... It's bizarre.
Yeah. But you kind of do show part of your trajectory in your career, like where it could easily be, this is not the heyday of Pauly Shore's career, but I think this sets the record straight in a way because you actually show somebody who's doing the kind of work he wants to be doing and engaging with people the way you love to engage. And again, I don't think you could necessarily do that if you're a huge Hollywood person and you probably don't have the time to do that type of thing anymore.
Right.
And also you're putting this part of yourself out there. You're like, yes, this is what my life right now, but you know what? Look at it. I'm doing fine.
Yeah, it's cool. No,
right?
I like it. Well, it works on so many levels. I mean, it's more emotional than anything for me. I mean, if you watch the film, you can see how much people love me. I mean, that's love. I mean, what's better than love? It's like I get it everywhere I go. Even at the hotel here at the Dream Hotel, and everywhere I go, people are like constantly giving me love. I mean, that's great. I'm very blessed. I'm very lucky that, whatever I did in my career thus far has affected a certain amount of people, and it's not my movies. It's not MTV. It's me, for whatever it is. I don't know what it is.
It's a sort of the sum of all that stuff.
Yeah. It's everything.
Right.
I don't
the
know.
persona.
I
the
don't
persona
know.
people relate on some level.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, it's somehow resonated amongst the community. And whenever I travel, I feel love everywhere I go. From on the plane, I fly coach, and I sit in the back, and the stewardesses are like, "Oh my God, what's up?" And just like it's all good, So
As long as
I'm very lucky.
As long as you are lucky, but as long as you don't always turn it off when you want to turn it off either. But it seems to.
Well, when I get burnt out, I shut the door and I go watch CNN or whatever.
Good enough. Yeah. So, and can I ask how your mother's doing? Or
yeah, of course. I mean, she's she has Parkinson's. She's had it for at least 15 years. Parkinson's, for the people listening, that relate to it or know about it, is, from my observation, it's a disease you can live with for a long time as long as you have good help. But it's also fucked because you can't feed yourself, you can't wipe yourself, you can't walk, you can't really speak that well. So it's to me it's fucking torture. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? To see her like that.
Sure.
Right. But the upside is she's not in pain. She's not going, she's just chilling. She's cool.
That's great. Yeah, she doesn't have some sort of eating away.
Exactly. So, yeah.
It's true.
And she's got great help. She's got this caregiver, Alfred, who's been with her for, 10 years. And it's like he's their companion. And
he's in the movie.
Yeah, and he takes her out. And, they drive around. He takes pictures with her and sends them to me. So she's, like I said in the movie, she won. To me, she won. She got stricken with this disease. She got fucked with that, but she's 84, so she's lived a long life.
Yeah, and
that's pretty cool.
Not like as an observer either. She actually lived in her life and really,
serious life.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
Follow me on Twitter at Pauly Shore.
I know, I already did.
At Pauly Shore. Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yeah, and you can follow me at Filmwax Radio while we're on the subject.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
And so I'll see you, but I'm going to Woodstock.
Okay, cool.
I didn't mention that.
Perfect.
I might run into you again.
Perfect. And then also my podcast that's out right now. It's called Pauly Shore's Interested, and every week there's a different episode, and this week is I interviewed Downtown Julie Brown.
Oh, sure.
And then Simon Rex, a.k.a. Dirt Nasty, comments on it. So it's an MTV throwback theme episode.
There's going to be a lot of people interested in that. And I'll put all those links up, too.
Cool. Awesome.
Sure that people can find all that. And it was great meeting you.
Yeah, thanks. And I hope your mom,
thank you.
Works out. And she's just the main thing, and my only advice for people that are dealing with their elderly parents is there's a lot of, they're called caregivers, but there's a lot of don't caregivers out there. Mm-hmm. So you can think your mom is with someone really, you almost need to have a fucking camera on these fuckers. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because the second they leave, all of a sudden they're on their iPhone and your fucking mom is falling over and they don't care. So it's good to maybe get a companion early on, so there's a friendship, a companionship between.
They have a stake in it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Otherwise,
it's true with the kids too, by the way.
Yeah.
Nanny, I mean, any babysitter.
With nannies and stuff.
Or any babysitter or anybody. I mean, you gotta, it's always tricky.
People don't care.
I wanted to add one thing that I don't know if you experienced since we're talking about it, and that is that with all the crazy family stuff that happens, because families are complicated, relationships are complicated, that when my mother was clearly losing a lot of her faculties or what have you, and she's in pretty good shape. No, I mean
she's 70-something, so she's okay for now. Yeah.
She is, and she actually she knows all of her loved ones, and she's. In the scheme of things, what came out of this whole thing is that all the moment this was clearly she was in a need of help, and that she was going through a really bad stretch for a while. Is that any feelings that I had of any complication at all in terms of my relationship with her disappeared in a heartbeat almost, and in fact we're closer than we've ever been because of this in a way. So if there's any positive side, that it did bring us even closer together where there's nothing but love now, and that's pretty amazing.
That's cool. That's awesome.
It is. It's great.
All right. Well, on that happy note, what do you mean? That was a happy note.
I'm going to put on circus music at the end, so it's okay. It'll balance it out.
I got to go pee. I'll see you guys later. Bye.